All right, looks like most people are all loaded and have joined the meeting. So yeah, thanks for coming. My name is Karison. I'm on the customer success team here at Commerce7. Today, I will be presenting 5 tips on how you can elevate your reservation operations. So I picked up these tips from supporting customers, different customers that are using reservations, and I picked up different ways that customers are using our tools to elevate and improve their reservation operations, whether they're running a certain analysis or they're implementing a strategy. And I just wanted to share some of these findings, and maybe it could spark an idea or be implemented in your operations to benefit your reservations and their experiences that your customers are having. All right, so without further ado, let's jump right to the first one. So the first one I want to talk about is analyzing your reservations based on the customers who are processing or placing the booking. An obvious way to do this would be to segment your reservation and analyze how your members versus non-members are booking reservations. You can do so by creating a reservation query and set it to the customer condition and look for reservation placed by active club members. And once you've run the analysis, you will be presented with a list of reservations that are placed by these customers. And you can look into it further. You can consider the number of reservations booked by a certain customer segment, the size of the reservations, how many guests they're inviting with them and bringing along, average price, things like that are all great analysis that you can extrapolate from this query. And based on the findings, you can find some insights that can help improve your marketing efforts. Perhaps you're noticing a certain behavior where your non-members are bringing larger groups and therefore birthday parties or bachelorette parties. These types of insights can then guide you to segment and market to those customer segments differently than different segments who are using your experiences for a different purpose. And of course, with this, members and non-members is just an example. You can further refine this analysis by going deeper and looking into customer tags and analyzing more specific customer segments. So I'm gonna go to the admin panel and demonstrate how you can pull this off. So we're going to create a reservation query with the customer condition. We're going to navigate over to the Commerce7 dashboard, going to go to marketing, queries, and click reservation. So the output for this query is going to be a list of reservations that are booked by a certain customer segment. Let's say I want to look at club member reservations. Here, I want to look at reservation is found in the following customer condition. And I can look for club member is equal to an active club member. And click add a reservation query. You can further refine this query by adding a condition for the date range. So the reservation is found in a specific date range greater than, let's say you want to look at just the month of May, then you can do something like that. And this will look at reservations and segment it based on the customer segments that are placing that transaction or that booking. On here, you also have the option for tags. So as mentioned, if you want to further refine your customer segments and not only look at club members and non-club members, then you can create more specific customer tags and then use this tag condition functionality to then look at bookings made by the specific customer segment that you want to look at. And yeah, and this analysis is just going to provide you with a deeper insights to how your customers are enjoying your experiences and why they're booking reservations. Cool. Moving on. The next item I want to talk about is the ability to calculate cancellation rates based on the booked reservations. So to extract this information, we recommend performing a reservation export using a date range filter. So you want to look at a set of reservation in a given date range, export all those reservations. One of the columns in the export is going to be reservation status, and canceled is going to be one of the status. So what you can do is look at the total number of reservations and then count how many has been canceled, and then you'll be able to calculate your reservation cancellation rate. If you can also drill down further and see if certain reservation types are being canceled more frequently. Perhaps it has something to do with how you're charging or when you're charging, and you can see a difference in cancellation rates between different reservation types and experiences. And once you've extrapolated that data information, you can start playing around with your charge reservation method and see how it affects your booking rate and also your cancellation rate. And we're going to talk about no-show next, but same idea. Playing around with your charge reservation method may impact how frequently customers are canceling their booking. Some options for that would be to use one of our charge early charge reservation method. So if we go navigate over to here, oops. And we go to reservation. We can navigate over to settings and look at our reservation types. And we have 4 options on how we want to charge the reservation. So on reservation booking means that the credit card will be billed for the price of the reservation right as soon as the booking is placed. 48 hours in advance, the card will be billed 48 hours in advance of the reservation time and date. On check-in is the credit card will be charged when the sales associate or the admin user clicks on check-in on the reservation booking. And then this last option is for free reservations. So it's not really relevant for this discussion. So these first two options here are the options that you have for charging early. Likely you will see a lower cancellation rate when you're charging early, and then likely higher if you're just charging on check-in because there's less commitment to that transaction. And one thing I've seen wineries do, if they do decide to charge early, they implement and use our rebate functionality to refund the price of the reservation if that customer purchases something. So this is most commonly something that you would do for non-members because in general, those are more likely going to cancel or no-show. And so for non-members, you can charge early and then use the rebate functionality if they decide to purchase some wine when they come in. So yeah, those are some actions you can take if you're noticing your cancellation rates being really high. You can then run an analysis after you've made the change and see if those rates are better. You also want to monitor your overall booking because that's another item for consideration because on check-in will likely result in a higher conversion for the booking, but will result in higher cancellations. So that's something to consider if your net booking is going down because you've changed the charge reservation method. Yeah, and very similar to the last one, you can perform a reservation export and it will have a column for reservation status. And one of those statuses is no-show. You can then calculate a no-show rate for your reservation. Just gonna navigate over to what the reservation export will look like. So you can see that column J here is the status. We see some that are reserved, closed out, canceled, checked in, and we have some no-shows. So you would sort this column in Excel and calculate how many no-shows are canceled based on this export. For no-shows, there is another consideration that the customer may have just forgotten about the reservation that they made. One way to combat that would be to consider implementing SMS text messages. We have 2 apps that can trigger reminder text messages for reservations based on the reservation date. You can configure it to fire off a day before, an hour before. So those 2 apps would be under apps and extensions. First one being Redshirt. Redshirt allows you to send SMS text messages, install, and it should allow you to trigger. Yeah, it's pulling data from the reservation object, so it should allow you to set some triggers based on the reservation information that this app can pull. The second app that also can help you send out SMS is Vimbibe. And yeah, same idea. It's accessing our reservations via API, pulling that data and triggering a text message 1 day and 1 hour before the reservation, which will hopefully combat your no-show rate. All right. Next one. I've noticed some wineries perform a daily export of their customers for their tasting room staff to know what to expect. So who's coming today? What reservations are they signing up for? This is something that generally gets printed out at the start of each day. And if you conduct a daily briefing with your tasting room staff, or your hospitality manager does a daily briefing, it could be one of the talking points. Here are the customers that you're going to expect to see, and here are the ways that we can best service them. The customer export will provide you with information such as lifetime value, if they're a first-time customer, how many orders they've placed, how long they've been a club member, if they are a club member, how many clubs they belong to, and different informations like that that will be useful for the tasting room staff or whoever is servicing the booking experience on how to best create that great customer experience. Some wineries will even segment based on the customers that host is going to see today, and email the servers with this file containing the customer information that they should expect to see that day. So to pull it off, we recommend executing a customer query with reservation condition, reservation date, today's date. So let's just quickly demonstrate how to do that. So it's going to be a customer query. And we're going to do customers found in the following reservation condition. Reservation date is greater than today. So it's just going to be, and another condition, reservation date is less than. All right, so when you execute the query, you're going to see an export that looks like this. So this is the raw file that it'll export. As mentioned, it's going to have some really useful information for your tasting room staff to know how to service these customers better. You'll know their last order date, their total order count, lifetime value, how they signed up for the club, which club they belong to, how long they've been in the club, and any metadata that you have added for this customer will all be listed in this export. So we'll provide more insights for your tasting room staff on how to provide that great customer experience. All right. Another cool thing I've seen is how you manage your free reservations. So comping of reservation is a common actions performed by tasting room staff. Maybe someone comes in who's industry or they're an influencer and they request for a comp on the reservation and you agree to that. We want to make sure that we're keeping track and analyzing how these are happening. So a good way to do that would be to use tags or metadata that you can run queries against and figure out how much, which customer segment is comping the most and how much it's you're comping in total. So to comp the experience, it's essentially when you refund if the payment has already been captured, or on check-in, if your reservation is set to on check-in, the sales associate will just price override to 0 and charge a $0 transaction for the reservation. So you want to make it standard operating procedure and train your team to habitually tag these transactions whenever they make a decision to comp it, so you can analyze it later. It's also another way for you to keep track of all the comps. So you can perform a reservation export, look for all reservations that are price override to $0 and make sure that they're tagged accordingly with the proper tag. So that's one way to kind of monitor that you're not over comping scenarios that you don't want to comp. And yeah, monitor and see which segment's waiving the most fees. Maybe instead of a full 100% off, you can consider providing a friends and family discount at 50% if you're finding that these are too costly for your business. Awesome. And the last thing I want to talk about is analyzing how your reservation converts into a sale. So this can be tracked if you use the rebate SKU to waive tasting fees. So we talked about how you can change your reservation charge method. And then if you charge early, when they come in and they decide to make a purchase, you can process that purchase with a rebate SKU, which will then waive the tasting fee. The rebate SKU will be for the same price as the reservation, and it will deduct that value from the order that they're placing. If this is how you're handling the scenario, then the rebate SKU can be the connection between your reservation to the sale that you're processing. So in this scenario, what you can do is perform an order query with the SKU purchase condition and set that condition to the rebate SKU. You will then be presented with a list of orders that contain this rebate SKU, so you know that these orders come from a reservation. Then what you could do is you can get sales numbers generated for the reservation. You can consider average order value. If you're looking for a conversion rate, then what you need to do when you're exporting your order query is to make sure to check the include order items checkbox, which will then give you the quantity of the rebate SKU. And you can perform this calculation, rebate SKU over the number of guests, and then you'll see what percentage of your guests are making transactions, because we can extrapolate that information from the usage of the rebate SKU. Yeah, so I can demonstrate how you can do that. So first, I'm going to just show you what the rebate SKU looks like. So rebate SKU is the only product type where you can have a negative price. So my tasting is priced at $15. So my rebate SKU is negative 15. And when I create a transaction, and let's just add some products here. Let's say I decide to purchase 4 bottles of this product, and I should get my tasting feedback. I'm going to add the rebate SKU to the order, which will deduct from the total and will essentially refund that the tasting fee. So the SKU that now we want to look at is rebate tasting. We can then navigate over to marketing, queries, order queries, add an order query, orders from reservation contain rebate SKU. And we want the SKU purchase condition and look for transactions that contain this specific SKU. And when I execute queries, I want to make sure if I'm only looking for totals and average order value, then I don't need to include the order items because the total should suffice. But if I want to get more granular and look at how many rebate SKUs, because you can have multiple rebate SKUs per order, then you'd want to include order items, because then you'll have the quantity for how many times that rebate SKU is used. And that's what you want to use for your numerator, and then divide that by the number of total guests that you have. And you can find that value from the reservation export. All right, cool. So yeah, that's the end of my presentation. Got a few questions in chat here. I'm just gonna go over it. But yeah, opening it up to the room as well for questions. Feel free to post it in chat or unmute yourself, and be happy to answer anything related to reservations or anything Commerce7 related. All right, so got some questions here. For charging on booking, how do you edit the reservation after it's been charged? Like adding a person to the reservation. you should be able to edit it. Let's take a look. So this reservation has been charged. Yeah, it doesn't change the price because it's already been charged. Yeah, I'll get back to you on that one. I'll do more research on how to best handle that scenario and send you an email response on that. Let's see if I have your email address. Yeah, I should be able to. Okay. Yeah, sorry about that. I'm not exactly sure on handling an adjustment to add more people to the reservation, but I think we should have a path to handle that. Second question, if we were to utilize this SMS options to remind customers, do those messages give the customer an option to cancel their reservation? It doesn't, not off of the email or the SMS itself, but some will allow a text back. And if you're using an app that allows text back, then they may request for that, and that's up to you to how to allow it or not. But there isn't a way to cancel reservation directly from the text message, or even on the website. So canceling reservation isn't available in that flow.
So is that on the roadmap for customers facing like customer facing email confirmations, or if we were to go ahead and get one of those apps to communicate more with our customers for reservations and their information? Is that on the roadmap with Commerce7? Because that has been a very big roadblock with us as to giving customers a little bit more freedom instead of reaching out via text message or email.
Yeah. So are you talking about the ability for them to cancel from the front end?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Yeah, that's on our radar. It's not in our near-term roadmap, but it is something that has been discussed internally within the product team.
Okay.
There's some pros and cons with allowing that in our considerations, but certainly something we're aware of and is on our radar. But
can I ask what the hesitation is on that end?
I think it's similar to canceling. Trying to remember the conversation. Last minute cancellations, I think, might be a problem that if we allow it, we might have to add more complexity to the feature to say no cancellation after a certain time period. So those are kind of the features and functionalities that we're considering, but certainly something that we're aware of. Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Thanks. When setting up a one-off type reservation, i.e. special wine dinner, do you need to add blackout dates to keep it from reoccurring? Yes. So we don't have the ability to create a one-off type reservation. So as a workaround, what you can do is create a reservation type and black out every other date that event is not happening. So that is currently the method for these one-off type reservations. So you want to keep the reservation active, but just block out the dates that reservation is not available on. All right, next question. When a reservation is checked in, is there a way that a new ticket can populate on the POS for that person. There's a way to start a cart from a reservation. It's not going to automatically create it, but if you go to the POS system, well, I have to check this person in first. Let's see if this works. So check in. I can pull it from reservation. So I can start the cart with a list of all my checked-in reservation. And then I can just start adding items. So that's the flow for starting a cart based on a reservation that's checked in. But it's not automatic if that's what you're requesting here. If you allow cancellation, will it be an option to refund or not refund the charge? Yeah, I get the question, but let me just double check here. Let's just do ad hoc. Okay, so at this point, it hasn't been charged. You can still cancel and it won't charge. So at this point, if it's just reserved, you do have the option for both refunding or not refunding just based on the actions that you take at this moment. If it's been captured, I think it automatically will just refund it. Let me see. So it's canceled and it has not refunded this transaction. And then in the event that you do want to refund, then you can perform a refund order. So you do have that flexibility with our reservation functionality. So on cancellation, it doesn't automatically refund the fee. So then if you don't want to refund, then you can just leave it at that point. And then if you want a refund, then you can go into the order and perform a refund order and get that funds back. All right. My question is if you let the customer cancel on the website. I'm not sure on that yet, but I think it should work the same as the cancellation flow we have. But I think that's one of those features that need to be fleshed out, whether we want it to automatically refund the transaction, or maybe we want to refund if you cancel prior to 24 hours, and then there's no refund if you cancel after 24 hours, something like that, but no concrete answer for that yet. Is there a way to stop online reservation, for example, an hour before that same day? Yes, we have a feature called lead time. So on the reservation type, you can have lead time in hours for web reservation. So this is how far in advance the reservation would have to be booked. So for a reservation at 5 p.m., the latest you can book would be noon in this configuration. Another question. When we add blackout dates, is there any way to see it from the admin side so we don't book on our side? We do present the blackout dates, if there are any, down here. It won't be, so if you're creating a reservation, you can type in whatever on here and it won't block you from adding that reservation. So on the availability section, you should see a section that lists out all your blackout dates. And then you also see it on, depending on where you add the blackout dates. So if you added the blackout dates on the reservation type, then you will see it on the blackout date section here. And then you can also add blackout dates based on the location. So if you did that, then you'll see it on this list. And then what you see on here would just be the general blackout dates. So you can have a general blackout date for everything. You can have it for the reservation type and you can have it for the location, and it will be listed in the respective places that you added the blackout date.
Is there a way that Commerce7 can add a feature that once you add a blackout date, it won't even allow the admin to book a reservation on that day? Because right now we have a handful of blackout dates and a handful of people that are booking reservations. And our biggest issue is that we'll accidentally book a reservation on a blackout date because it doesn't prevent us from doing it. There's like no reminder or anything in the system.
Gotcha. Yeah, you're right. I can certainly pass along that idea. I think it makes sense to prevent that mistake. And right now we're just treating ad hoc as if an admin is placing it, it kind of overrides all sorts of different restrictions. But a warning message, a modal kind of letting them know that they're booking on a blackout date would be helpful. So I can certainly pass along that idea to the product team, take it under consideration. All right, perfect. I think that's all the questions we have. Oh, we have a general question. Is there a way to change a club member from one club to another, i.e. from mixed club to all red without having to cancel the membership and re-entering them as a new member? Is there a way to query only active members from the list? So we do allow you to move a club membership from one club type to another if that membership has never had a shipment created for it. So if the club membership has been added to any shipment, even just one shipment, then the ability to toggle from one club to another will be removed, and you would need to cancel the membership and sign up for a new one. But in the event that you kind of just accidentally sign someone up for the wrong club and they haven't yet been added to a package, you can toggle that club membership from one club to another quite easily. So yeah, it would depend on the scenario that you're in here, whether it would require a canceling and a re-sign up, or if there's a way to switch them from one club to another. I'd recommend sending in a question to support@commerce7.com, and we can look at the specifics there and provide some recommendations accordingly.